Hey folks, and welcome back to the Health Coach Business Program brought to you by the Health Coach Closer Method. My name is Evan Transu. I'm one of the co-founders here, along with my wife, Madeline Transu. Just to be clear, she's really the one that created the Health Coach Closer Method. I'm more the one that does the Health Coach Business Program side, but it sounds cooler when I get to say I'm the co-founder of the Health Coach Closer Method as well. If you don't know what we're doing here, we are the first and only, and that makes us the best by definition. Unfortunately, it would also make us the worst too. Free health coach business training online. There are other business trainings for health coaches. They are not necessarily bad programs, but they're almost always thousands of dollars to go through them. We are doing the first and probably only ever free training, and it is right here on this YouTube channel. You do not need to sign up for anything. You don't need to subscribe. You get all the training that you need right here on this channel. If you are watching this shortly after the video came out, make sure you're subscribed so that you can see the new releases. It is going to take several weeks to release all of the content that we have planned for you guys. If you're watching in the future, we will be doing other things on this channel, so feel free to subscribe as well. You can find us at the Functional Practitioner Collective on Facebook. I will drop that in the link below. In the description, that is, and that is a group, link to our Facebook group, excuse me. I'm very active in there. We also have some clinical experts in there as well that can help you if you are more into the nerdy clinical side of health coaching and you utilize lab testing. And then I help with the business side in there, and my wife helps with the sales side. So we're glad to have you guys. Okay, today we're going to get into this one relatively fast. I don't want to give a full intro. I promise I am qualified. If you'd like to figure out how I am qualified to help you with this, go check out the other videos. You should be ideally doing that anyway, because this program is made to be watched sequentially. That's the idea of it. I am doing my best to create these videos in such a way that you could piecemeal it together, but ideally you would go watch this sequentially. Today is not necessarily an exception to that, although I would say that you probably can get a lot from today without watching the others, but hopefully you go check those out as well. I will drop links in the description for the other videos too, so you can see the order of the videos and where you can get started. Today we're going to be discussing nailing your niche. There's a reason that this is the third video on the channel. It is very important. And this is how everything else that you do is going to depend on this and depend on you getting this as right as possible. This is not to say that there's never room to change. It is not to say that you can't switch niches over time. I've been in the space for over 10 years. I've had businesses where we focused on acne. I'm currently in a business where we focus on autoimmune conditions. I'm not saying you can't switch, but you gotta get this right, or as close to right as possible in the beginning, because it is going to help you from email marketing to social media to giving talks in person to talking to people online, also to talking to people in person. It matters, and we're going to show you how to pick that today, because you've probably had a hard time figuring out, well, what's a good niche? Like, how do I get a profitable one? How do I figure out which one's best for me? We are going to discuss all of that today. And we're going to talk to you how to stand out in a seemingly saturated market. The reason I say seemingly is because I do not believe that the market is saturated at all. It is very sad to me when I see health coaches and these cash-based health practitioners come into the world of health coaching, and they think that it's saturated just because their social media feed is filled with this stuff. So there's two things I want you to think about here. One, we live in bubbles online. Your feed looks very different than mine. My feed looks very different than my mom's. My wife's feed looks very different than mine. All of us have one thing in common, though, at least in that group that I just mentioned, because my mom's into this stuff as well. We are going to get functional health content. We are going to get natural health content. You need to understand a fraction of the world, a significant fraction, actually, a majority fraction, does not get that type of content. They have no idea that this stuff even exists, okay? I did an experiment one time. It has nothing to do with health, and I promise I'm going to talk about both sides here so you don't have to click off and get mad at me. I was so curious how the country, the United States that is, was becoming so divided politically. I'm like, how does the other side think that the people that are not them are the idiots, that they're indoctrinated, all this kind of stuff? Because the left and right both think that about each other. I'm like, what is going on here? So I purposely created social media accounts, or I had social media accounts, I should say, and I went out of my way to kind of follow accounts that would be left-leaning on one and right-leaning on the other. And here's something I found. This is incredible to me. those accounts were fantastic, or those algorithms rather, were fantastic at showing me content that displayed the best of the side that that account was associated with and the worst of the side that it was not associated with. I think I can be safe here to say both of these opinions are ridiculous. If I can't, then unfortunately I'm probably not your person. So on the left side, when I was operating on an account that had me leaning with left politics, or leaning towards the left with politics, I would see people that were at Trump rallies proclaiming that Jesus Christ, I'm a Christian myself, by the way, that Jesus Christ had sent Trump to save the country and that he was being protected by the military and all this kind of stuff. I mean, very fringe beliefs, right? And I could understand how someone on the left, if that's the people that they were constantly watching, started to get indoctrinated, right? Then similarly, when I went on my accounts that had right-leaning politics, I was getting shown things that were primarily college students, but also even some college professors claiming that men could get pregnant, right? Biological males could get pregnant. Now imagine if you're seeing that every day. You're like, wow, this is insane. So why am I mentioning politics in this? It's not just to anger you and get you all ticked off, okay? It is because those accounts had completely different bubbles to them. Same amount of scrolling time, right? Same phone, but because those accounts follow different things, it led to a different bubble. So you need to understand you live in a bubble. I live in a bubble. And so do all the people that you want to attract. They have their own bubbles that they are in. And I guarantee to you, it does not include natural health. That's point number one. Point number two has to do with point number one to a degree. And that is, if every single person knew about this stuff and was doing it correctly, we would not have the rates of chronic disease that we have. Right? In America alone, we're talking over 45% of people, I think it is now, have a chronic disease. And again, fact check me on these. It's very close if it's not precise. It's approximately 50% of kids by the time they're age 18 are going to be on a medication or have a chronic disease diagnosis. I mean, this is insane, right? So even if somehow this market was saturated, clearly the people that they're getting the messages from, that the consumer is getting the messages from, just to be clear, it's not working because 50% of people are sick with a chronic disease that they ideally don't want to have. I'm sure of it. So it's not working. And I think it's not working because, again, it's not saturated. The reality is people don't know about this stuff. They have no idea what's going on. I follow channels that are related to interests that I have outside of the health space, let's put it that way. And they get millions of views. And then I'll go and talk to my mom about them. She doesn't even know who the person is that hosts the channel, let alone the topic that they're discussing. But it has millions of views. Well, that's great. But when you consider we're in a world with 7 billion people, and if I'm not mistaken, over 4 or 5 billion people now have internet access, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of millions of people. There's 1,000 millions and a billion if you don't know, right? So even if millions of people are seeing something, that is still not saturated. And I can almost guarantee that your favorite health influencer is not dealing with millions of views. Most likely they're not even getting that, okay? So I shouldn't have to convince you of this, but it's not saturated. It definitely is not saturated. But regardless of whether or not the market was as saturated as could be, or if it's not saturated at all, as is my belief, it comes down to this. You have to stand out. And the way that you stand out is by niching down properly, okay? So your niche is going to be the way that they find you. And the more unapologetically unique you are in your stances and your beliefs and your niche, the more that you are going to attract those people. There's a famous entrepreneur named Gary Vaynerchuk. And by the way, if you don't know who I'm talking about right now, that man has tens of millions of followers on social media platforms. So that would just prove my concept if you didn't know who he was. He is beyond popular, okay? Gary V talks about this and says we are no longer in the social media age. And the reason he's credible, by the way, is because he predicted TikTok taking off. He predicted TikTok Shop. He's very brilliant with his predictions in terms of how social media is going to go. He has a track record that spans over 15 years at this point. And he says we are no longer in a social media world. We are in an interest-based media world. What does he mean by that? Well, when we all got Facebook for the first time, I was young, man. I was like in 7th, 8th grade when I first got on Facebook. What would happen is you added everyone from your middle school or high school, whatever grade that you were in. So it's hilarious. I have people on my Facebook from middle school that never talked to me and that I never talked to. And they are still on my Facebook. I'm 30 years old. I'm almost 31. They are still on my Facebook 17 years later, or 18 years, whatever the heck. I was probably 12 or 13 in 7th grade, right? So social media was when you had your social network in there, right? You had your friends, family, all this kind of stuff, people from school or work. Nowadays, you still have that, but it's become more interest-based. What does that mean? So interest-based media means that the algorithms seem to be displaying content to the people that want to see it. They're displaying certain types of content to the people that want to see it. This is why you will see accounts that might have 500 followers, but they have reels on Instagram or shorts on TikTok or YouTube, that have 10,000, 100,000 views. It doesn't happen all the time, but the reason that happens cannot be because of their following. They only have 500 followers. How could they have gotten 50,000 views? It cannot be from their followers. It is because that information and that reel that they did was distributed out to people who want to see it. If you do not believe that this works or that this is not happening, when you go on Facebook again, go see what ads you get. If you don't have YouTube Premium, watch the ads that you get. Some of them might be irrelevant, but if you've been on these platforms for a while, you might find it interesting how many of these ads are actually things that you would buy. Especially if you had all the money in the world, you probably would buy them. And you say, well, how did that thing know to get to me? It is because, and this is creepy, but you can take advantage of this. And you're already playing the game if you're watching something like this, because you wouldn't probably know me if it wasn't for Facebook or something. So, or you might know me from the YouTube specifically, I guess. But a lot of the people watching this channel initially know me from Facebook. So the thing that's happening with this is we've been on these platforms for so long, be it Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. These have been around for a while at this point. Again, it's creepy, but it is what it is, and you might as well take advantage of it. These platforms have been collecting data points about you for years. For me, it's been 17 years. Facebook has been collecting my data. They see what I like. They see what I interact with. They know what I will watch. They know what I will comment on. They know what I will react angry to. They know what I will react happy to. They know my religion. They know my politics. They know everything about us. So because they have more data points than any of our human brains can comprehend, they are able to distribute that correct ad or that ideal ad into our feed. Similarly, they are able to distribute the right content into our feed. Why would they want to do that? You say, well, is Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, they're just that nice? No, they're not that nice. They're in the business of making money. These platforms make money in one way, at least as of right now. It's the primary way that they make money. They make money off ads. So they need to be exceptionally good, not only at getting the ads to the right people, but how else do they do it? They need to keep you on the platform. If you go on and the first thing that you see makes you extremely sad and you don't respond well to sad things, you click off of sad things, the algorithm is not going to do that anymore because it wants you to stay on the platform. Now, sometimes, unfortunately, our brains can get hijacked, right? And we see things that are sad, we see things that make us angry, and we actually are more likely to stay on because of that. That's a personal issue, though, that we need to work on. The algorithm is unbiased. It does not care. It only wants you to stay on. That is it. It will give you whatever you show to it that makes you stay on, or prove to it that makes you stay on. Okay. So does this have to do with the niche? I'm not just saying that you have to be a social media marketer. That's not what I'm getting at. But I am telling you that if you figure this out and nail this down, it is going to be very easy to find your people because the internet and social media wants to get you in front of those people. You never have to do social media if you don't want to get clients that way. That's fine. But I'm telling you that this is a great way to do it and it helps you find these people. If you are watching my YouTube channel right now, and you have never met me, and you don't know me from the previous things that I've done, isn't that interesting? How'd you even get here, right? It knew that you were searching for something or looking for something like this, and it put it in your feed. Kind of crazy, kind of creepy, but we can take advantage of it. And it's not advantage in a manipulative way, because if we're helping people with their health issues that could freaking kill them, I think that's probably a worthy thing to take advantage of, right? So this is how you stand out, right? We want to think about this as like everyone's wearing black, but you're wearing pink to the right person. Okay. So for the right person that has a specific problem or set of problems and they're looking to solve it, you want to be the person wearing pink. And that pink shirt represents the solution or potential solution to their problem or problems. And everyone else is in black. So they all blend in and you stick out. That's what we are aiming for here. A common myth, I think I've already probably dispelled this, but a common myth is that niching down equals fewer clients. It could not be farther from the truth. Niching down attracts more of the right clients. It also, by the way, does not mean that you can never work with people outside of your niche. We work with people at our business all the time that have nothing to do with autoimmune issues. We work with people that have nothing to do with acne when I had those businesses in the past. But acne started the conversation. Autoimmune starts the conversation. Then they realize how you work as a health coach, which is more of a general thing, right? As a health coach, we are trained to help a variety of different issues non-specifically. So once they come into your business model as a client and they realize that you can help other things, that's when they refer their friends and family. So you will get other clients someday that have no direct relation to the niche that you settle down for. So it's not like you can't even work with other clients, guys, by the way. It's just that initially we need to niche down to attract the right clients, and then over time we can attract others as well. Seth Godin said this. I should have attributed this properly, but Seth Godin is GOAT in marketing, as the kids say, greatest of all time. He said, if you're talking to everyone, you are talking to no one. This also doesn't necessarily mean that we need to be needlessly controversial or provocative. But again, to prove the point, you look at presidencies in the United States. You only need 51% of the people to tolerate you to win, right? 49% of the people could hate you and you could still win, right? When people create that polarity, as more people hate you, more people love you. I'll say it that way. As more people hate you, more people love you. And again, that does not necessarily imply at all that you have to go on your social media and start talking about politics as a health coach. It's not what I'm suggesting. But if you are too neutral, if you are too stripped down because you're trying to appeal to everyone, the person only sees you as, to continue that metaphor, as wearing black. Right? You're just blending in with everyone else. You're not wearing the bright pink, standing out in the crowd, and they're like, that's my person. Right? So on my personal Facebook, I am very unapologetic about my faith. I'm open about my politics and all these types of things. And guess what? Some of the health coaches don't like that I share that stuff. They have no relationship to the things that I share, and they don't care about it at all. And then others love it. I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I am Evan, and I like to share what's on my mind, and I don't like to hold anything back. That's how I am in person as well. But it just so happens that that's highly effective for finding your ideal clients too. So if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. And a great way to realize that you're talking to someone is by saying to myself, okay, is there some way that this could be interpreted negatively by someone? Is there some way that I might get like a comment that says, well, you didn't think about this or you didn't think about that? That's a good sign. We're not trying to attract those comments. Again, that's not necessarily what we're trying to do, but the messaging should be that. For example, if I got online, and this is not a niche statement, I'm just saying a post that I could do. If I got online, well, I don't even have to do an if with this. I can give you a when. When I was online talking about my mental health journey, back in my early 20s and late teens, and I was sharing how I was literally resolving these symptoms through natural health, and I did not use medication anymore, there were people that took medication that got very offended by this. Now, nowhere in my message did I say don't take medication. I couldn't even say that even if I believed that, which I actually don't. I really do not, even as a health coach. I think that's crazy. I think there's some people that need to be medicated, or there might be times where we need to be medicated. I have benefited from medication in certain seasons of my life, no doubt. I never said that in the post, but because I shared a solution that I was passionate about, it still ticks some people off. And then they comment and they jump in and they're like, wait, this helped me. You can't, suggest to people that medication doesn't work. I'm like, I never said any of that, right? But it got people talking. And then, by the way, if you ever do get those comments, you have two options, or three really. I guess you could ignore it. I wouldn't recommend it. You could ignore it. 2, you could delete it. That's pretty cowardly and lame. Or 3, you address it calmly and you get to show people who you are. You want to be overly calm when you address those things, okay? And again, the political people, you'll see them take a different strategy in their Instagram feeds. They'll get into the comments and start berating the person, whatever. They're building up polarity and it works for them. We are health coaches. We want people to feel good. We want people to be healthy. No one is particularly healthy if they're engaging in very emotionally filled and charged arguments all the time, okay? So a great way to know that you're not talking to no one is by talking to someone. And if you're talking to someone, then there should be someone out there that could kind of misinterpret it or take it the wrong way or whatever, okay? So here's a basic example. We're going to go through actual action steps in just a second here to help you guys lay this all out, but I just wanted to show you this really quick. So here is a general example that we do not consider good. And if you don't know what copy means, again, I know some of you are very new to business. So copy just refers to the text, the writing that is done. So you could say copy for a sales page. So if you had a website with a sales page, the text that's on there, that would be your sales copy. If you had a copy for a social media post, that would be the wording that you're putting in the Instagram caption or whatever. So this is just saying the copy here is the messaging to the clients, potential clients, that is. So the general copy, the no bueno copy, no good, is I'm a health coach and I help people with all kinds of health issues. That's already terrible. If you're feeling tired, overweight, have brain fog, or bad skin, I can help you get back on track with a custom plan. Now, some of you might have taken this approach before and say, Ev, I got a client. Okay. Well, if you go talk to enough people, you're going to get lucky. And if enough people talk to even a few people, someone's going to get lucky within that group. Does that make sense? So let me reword that just to make sure that's clear. If one person talks to 1 million people this way, they're going to get lucky and get some clients, okay? Now, if 1 million health coaches talk to 10 people this way, some out of that million are going to get lucky just by definition, right? Because their group of 10 might be more susceptible to this messaging. They might trust them more, whatever it is. But this is not ideal. And it's certainly not sustainable or scalable. You're not going to be able to figure out anything from this type of messaging. So here would be an example of messaging that is better. And again, we'll go through the exercise, but I just want to show you something so this stands out beforehand. Do you hate when you see what you see in the mirror? If you're a woman in perimenopause, struggling with stubborn weight gain and low energy, my 6-step blueprint will help you reclaim your body. Now, the blueprint thing's a little out of the end. The question doesn't necessarily need to be there, but you can tell we're calling out a specific person. They are not calling out an early 20-somethings male with mental health issues, right? That would be weird if someone like me, when I was in my early 20s and had mental health issues, if I reached out and said, hey, I'd want help with this. And they're like, I just told you I was helping women in perimenopause struggling with stubborn weight gain, right? I am going to ignore this. It's not even going to cross my radar, and I'm just going to keep scrolling or ignore the sign if it's in person or ignore the flyer because this does not call out to me. The other one might, I feel tired sometimes. I had bad skin at one point, but you're not calling out to me in any way that's powerful. You're not triggering my emotion. You're not claiming authority and showing me why you're the person for this if you're a generalist for all this kind of stuff, okay? So the specific coach wins the client. And guys, we're in a business here. They also win the money. Just being real. If this is not clear, here are the benefits of a defined niche. You have the precise message. It's going to stop shouting or have you stop shouting into the void. You're speaking directly to the exact pain points of your ideal client. A great way to think about this is almost imagine you are talking to a real person whenever you do your social media posts, whenever you make your flyers for in-person stuff, however you're doing marketing, you want to make sure you feel like you're writing to a person. It could be your old self, by the way, but you want to make sure you're feeling like you're calling out a person. Same thing with your videos or whatever. Deeper expertise, like a specialist versus a generalist, you become the recognized authority for one specific problem. I don't have a channel right now on business for everyone, right? This is a business for cash-based health coaches and health practitioners. That's a niche. Do you also notice how, in this slide, I explained what copy is? Most business owners know exactly what copy is. That's like a 101 type of thing. But I know that I'm talking to people who might be new to business, and that's okay. I'm not saying this in some condescending way. I'm just saying that you probably don't know what that is. Some of you are not going to know. So I explained that. That is because I have a specific person in mind that I'm talking to when I make this type of content. And then, of course, I already said this, but easier marketing. You know exactly where they hang out and what language they use. Your budget goes further. If you do not know where they hang out, we'll help you figure that out. And this is the difference between a specialist versus a generalist. Okay, a general practitioner is going to be broad knowledge of many things, handles everything for everyone, and there's lower perceived value. Versus the specialist is deeper expertise in one area, obsessed with solving one problem. They're higher in trust, authority, and fees. If you have an issue with your heart, you're going to go to a cardiologist. You might go to your primary care physician to get a referral. That's how it works in the US at least. Okay, but you want to go to a cardiologist because your family practitioner is not trained in heart surgery. They're not trained in advanced stuff with the heart. They might know just enough to know that you have a problem. They might know just enough to know that you got to go to the cardiologist, but there is a cardiologist for a reason. There's a neurologist for a reason. There's a dermatologist for a reason, right? So we trust these people more. And by the way, the specialists are the one charging the higher prices. So it kind of works even in the Western medicine field as well. Next slide after this is going to be the steps. So get ready. If you don't have a pen and paper ready or just something to type on, you got to get that out because we're going to go do this together. But just one last thing just to help you guys really think about this before we get into the action steps. I'm a health coach who helps you deal with your health challenges naturally. That's bad. That's the before for you guys, right? Versus after might look like I help mid-career professionals overcome anxiety and panic attacks. Not even entry-level professionals. Not people about to retire, mid-career professionals. You see how that is specific and calls out a specific person. Okay, this is how I help people with niching down. If you listen to, I'm saying this before we get to this slide, if you listen to different business professionals in the health coaching space, they might tell you to do this differently. They might tell you to do it 50% different. They might tell you to do it 10% different. I don't care about that. If you want to go follow them because you trust their advice, I encourage you, genuinely, I'm not being sarcastic, go do that. But follow what they say. If you're going to follow me, follow what I say. Do not mix both methods together because both methods does not exist, right? There's one person teaching one thing because they know it works. There's another person teaching something because they know it works. We did not mix the ideologies together because I don't know who else you're learning from. And this other person doesn't know that you're learning from me. So pick one, stick with it. You could pick the one that just feels better to you. That's fine. But please follow the steps and do not mix this together because I have not found that the niching down thing, especially in the world of health coaching, is a universally agreed upon set of steps, right? There's not a universally agreed upon set of steps that gets you here. This is my set of steps. This is what works for me as someone who's done multiple different niches successfully in this space. So you can take that or leave that. I will take no offense if you leave it, but please just follow one person's steps. If you're going to follow mine, here we go. Step one, I call it identifying your superpowers as a health coach. So often these new health coaches come into the space and they might have no Western medicine background at all, and they get what is known as imposter syndrome. You might have heard of that before. Imposter syndrome means we go out, we're trying to do something, we feel like a fraud, we feel like a fake, not because we're doing something unethical, we just don't feel like we're qualified compared to others, and so we don't think of ourselves highly. It displays in our marketing and sales calls. It is not good. It's not going to be what helps you get a good business going and off the ground. So you do have superpowers. This is not me just hyping you up or being nice to you. If you know me in person, I am a nice guy, but I'm fairly blunt and fairly direct. I would not waste your time, especially for free. I'm not going to waste your time and tell you something that's just cheesy or cute. You do have superpowers. You just don't realize it yet, okay? So here's how you identify your superpowers. What comes easy to you that others struggle with? What comes easy to you that others struggle with? And of course, we want to relate this to the health space itself, okay? Steve Harvey, the game show host and comedian, he talked about this. He said, your gift is what comes easy to you and what's amazing to the world. Your gift is what comes easy to you and what's amazing to the world. So I found my gift in public speaking. And this is not to say I'm not the best public speaker that ever existed or that I don't stumble over my words. Sometimes I just did. I probably have some grammatical flaws in this entire video, right? It's a long one. But generally speaking, I find that I get almost like 2x the output that I'd expect for the effort that I put into speaking. So it's almost as if I'm getting double the result of other people because it's coming easy to me comparatively speaking. So that's what the gift is. It's easy to me and amazing to other people. What is yours in this health space? Are you great at the communicating side? Are you amazing on the clinical side? Do you have a condition that you dealt with that you've never even heard of someone overcoming? You want to start thinking about that superpower, right? What comes easy to you that others struggle with? And if you really want to just hyper-focus this into the health issues only, then just think about, okay, what feels easy to you now that was once very hard? So for example, I had severe acne at one point. I never worry about my skin at this point anymore. I mean, it could always look a little prettier, but it's not like I'm worrying about breakouts on a daily basis now, which is a blessing, right? So that comes easy to me. I know how to maintain that, but there's other people out there struggling with it, really struggling with it. The mental health thing, man, there's people that it's awful. They are dying literally and figuratively with depression. I don't look at that as easy. I don't think I've ever gotten to a place where I look at that as easy per se, but I will say that I'm not dying with it. I don't know if I meet the diagnostic criteria for any of my conditions anymore. I don't think that I do. So that's something that comes comparatively easy to me that others struggle with. So start to think about that. If you need to pause this video for a moment, that's fine. Okay. And if you are someone that is maybe a little too kind and you can't think highly of yourself, right? You're too humble is a better word. Then go to other people in your life, people that you trust, spouse or partner, kids if you have them, other family members, friends, and say, hey, can I just ask you something? This is an exercise I'm doing from my business coach, right? I might not be your direct business coach. They don't need to know that. It's fine. They wanted me to ask the people in my life what they think comes easy to me that others struggle with. Just go check that out and see what answers you get. You might get some answers that have nothing to do with the health space, but this is a good question to ask for a variety of reasons. Next, who do you feel for? Right? What have you overcome? And what have you overcome does relate a lot to that first thing, but what do you feel for? What is the one that gets you in the heartstrings, man? So I had 7 different health conditions at the age of 18 diagnosed. And some of you guys know that, some of you don't. I'm not going to list off all the conditions right now. That's not the point. But out of those conditions, there were ones that I felt for more. I had GERD, for example. I know people that their entire business is all around helping individuals who suffer with GERD or other stomach issues. It's not that I don't feel for those people entirely. That wasn't the main thing that motivated me, though. You know what got me? Was the depression and anxiety. That was hell for me, man. And I am not being dramatic. That really almost took me out. And I mean that quite seriously. I feel for that. That is why, for those of you that don't know this, I got into mental health speaking when I was 22, 23. I'm still in it now, but I really had a huge burst from about 22 to 27. I did over 500 presentations professionally in that time. It was a blessing that I felt for those kids, man. And I saw what was happening with the pandemic, and I'm like, I gotta get out here and do this thing. You know, there are kids that don't know that there's other options. They're not going to be on this earth anymore because they're going to make a stupid decision that they can't reverse because they don't know that there's hope at the other side. I feel for that so deeply. You can probably hear it in my voice. It's coming out of me naturally. I got to get involved in that. I got to do something about that. That's who I feel for. So who do you feel that way about? Is it the person suffering with acne? Is it the perimenopausal woman? Is it the individual with anxiety or GERD or cancer? Or XYZ autoimmune condition or the skin condition, whatever? Who do you feel for? And again, what have you overcome? If these two overlap, man, golden right there. That's what you want to highlight. I had overcome the mental health challenges to the point that I was a productive member of society that was in no risk anymore of not being here, and I could go live a normal life and probably even it's not a competition. I will say I think most of the people in my life think I live a very fulfilling life, even more so than the average person. Again, it's not a competition or saying that that's because of me. It's just because I've been intentional with these things. So that made me highly qualified to go talk to people that were living below average lives and help them with their mental health. So if who do you feel for and what have you overcome overlaps, golden, dude, golden. What specific clinical or practical skills do you own? Can you actually help these people? Right, I had a bunch of stuff and trick up my sleeves that would let me help those suffering with anxiety and depression. I got to be honest, like at least 50% of the battle is getting those people to ask for help because so many people with mental health issues suffer in silence. I could get them to ask for help. I could help destigmatize it for them and make them realize that this is not something that means that you're crazy. It's just like a physical health condition, right? And you get treatment for it and you get help. If that's natural for you, that's awesome. If it's not, that's great. If it's a mix of both, also great. I don't care. I just don't want you to not be here tomorrow. That's what I want. So do you have specific clinical or practical skills that you own? That's a very practical one. You know, being able to share a story on a stage and getting people to ask for help. I'm not a genius. I'm not a PhD. I don't even have a high school diploma because I got kicked out of high school because of the mental health issues. Well, really because of the choices I made with drugs regarding those mental health issues. Let me take proper responsibility there, right? But, you know, I don't need to be a genius to go help people in that way. It's very practical. And then the clinical side is, well, I got more advanced with the lab testing and the understanding of what leads to mental health issues for many people. So then I had some great expertise there, right? So think about all this stuff. Pause it if you need to. Do not move on to step number 2 unless you're able to answer these questions for yourself, okay? They don't even have to all be the same. Just go with the knee-jerk reaction, your gut feeling. What is the answer to what comes easy to you that others struggle with? Ask other people in your life if you have to. Who do you feel for? Answer that. What have you overcome? Answer that. What specific clinical or practical skills do you own? Answer that. Pause, and then we'll move on to the next one here. Step 2, Experience and passion. So your story is your strongest superpower. Why? Because no one can take this away. I don't care how many letters someone has before or after their name. I don't care how many decades they went to school and were studying. And this is not to lessen those professionals. Some of you might be those professionals that are coming into the space, right? We're glad to have you. But no one can take your story. There is no doctor, no PhD, no scientist that can get on a stage and tell me with any level of honesty that I did not resolve my mental health issues and other health issues. You can never take that away from me. So my story is mine. No one else has it. It's a superpower. It inspires other people. It gets them going. It gets them on fire. It makes them realize that they can do something more with this. And again, the mental health stuff is a bit dramatic. So you might say, well, I don't have a story like that. Dude, I've done this same thing with acne. I've done this same thing with autoimmune disease. You do not need to have the most dramatic health issues to have the story. Because the people dealing with the health issues don't want to be dealing with it. It could be eczema. I don't think anyone with eczema, unless it's like literally head to toe, would argue that that is worse than having cancer, right? Even if it was head to toe. I think most people would take head to toe eczema over cancer. I'm sorry if I'm incorrect about you. I would say that's probably most people, right? That does not mean that you can't have a compelling story for both. Let's say I had a cancer issue. You know, I go in and I open my story by saying I was living a completely normal life. I went to the doctor for a routine checkup and I could not believe what the test results said. Even the doctor was shocked. They thought I was living a perfectly healthy life. And, you know, the doctor, she was a little hesitant at first. She didn't really tell me what was going on, but she sent me to a specialist. And when I went to that specialist, I realized I had a early stage cancer. Okay, so there's a story for that. That's powerful, right? Oh, but Ev, you can't do that with eczema. I can do it right now. And tell the truth, obviously, I'm using hypotheticals here. If I had eczema in any capacity, I could say, you know, it was summertime, and one of my favorite things to do was go to the beach and swim and all this kind of stuff. And I couldn't go this year. And it's not because my family couldn't afford the beach house to rent for a week. We were actually doing better than we ever were before. It was because when I took off my bathing suit, I was humiliated that I had these scaly red patches, and I knew people stared. I knew that they thought differently of me because of it, and I was sick and tired of dealing with it. I knew something had to be done. Completely different health conditions, completely different implications on one's life. You have a story with it, okay? So you have to think about that. And we'll touch on that in this business training more. That's going to be a little bit farther down the line. We'll help you guys with the storytelling side. But just know, whatever story you have, I don't care how poorly you tell it right now or how poorly you think you tell it, because it's probably not as bad as you think, that's going to be your superpower, okay? So the struggles you've personally overcome, the topics you could talk about for hours, this is a good one. Right? Why do you think I have this business channel? I can talk about this effortlessly. I'm not using notes right now. I have the slides, right? I'm not a fool. I'm not coming in unprepared, but I don't have notes. I'm able to talk about this for hours. I love this. I've helped hundreds of coaches with their business stuff. Okay. So I could talk about this for hours. I love it. I could talk about the autoimmune stuff for hours. I love it. Think about that thing. Authentic connection points with your audience, right? This ties back to the story. You want to make it real. I give you those hypothetical ways to set up a story just to show you that someone with eczema or cancer could have powerful stories, all the like, even though they might seem very dissimilar. But you should not make up a story, right? There's power within your story in and of itself. So step one, we want to identify the superpowers. Step two, understand that your story is your strongest superpower and try to get all of these here to overlap, all right? Step three, we're going to research the market. If this makes you freak out, you're like, I don't know how to research a market. No problem. We're in 2026, folks, or later if you're watching this later. It's only going to get better if it's later. So let me show you how to do this. We want to find where your people gather. We're talking about forums, groups, maybe publications, depending on if they read things or not, right? Not many people are reading things nowadays, I feel like, except on their phone. You also can use AI for this. You do not need a fancy AI chatbot for it. You could use the free version of ChatGPT or Claude. Claude is spelled C-L-A-U-D-E, by the way, and that's Claude.ai. Any of those things. Tell it the other two things first, right? Identify this thing, write it down, think about it, get your story, think about that, write it down to the best of your ability, right? I'm not talking about the full story. Even a couple paragraphs is fine. Plug that in for step three here into AI and say, hey, help me research my market. I want to find, in the second point here, the gap. The problems that are discussed but not adequately solved. What are people talking about all the time? Okay. Also study other coaches. What do they do well and where can you differentiate? If there are a lot of coaches working in a certain niche, that is not a bad thing. It is a great thing. It is a good sign because no one does everything perfectly. They're going to do something wrong. And again, we talked about this earlier. I don't think I need to overemphasize this, but there is no way that any coach even has the capacity, even if they were doing it perfectly, they don't even have the capacity to help everyone. Otherwise, we wouldn't be seeing such high rates of chronic disease and symptoms in the Western world. We wouldn't see that. So I don't give a darn if there's 10 other coaches doing the same thing as me. I don't care if there's 100. I have a unique story. I have a unique set of superpowers, and I will figure out where they are lacking, and I will make up for it. The other thing you need to consider too is this is very natural in business, and it's not unethical. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It just is. When things get bigger, the programs cost more. So when businesses get bigger, the programs cost more. You got guys out there like Dr. Josh Axe. My wife's worked for him, Dr. Pompa. Great dudes, okay? I'm not hating on them. These are very large businesses, guys, like larger than you can probably comprehend, at least right now in your journey. Their programs range from $8,500 for health coaching all the way up to $12,000 to $15,000. So even if someone is helping in an identical way to how you are, once they get popular enough, the natural progression of a business is for their prices to go up because that's what businesses do. And they're hiring more people. So their margin gets shot. So they need to have a price increase. So I'm sure you don't need to charge $15,000 to have a profitable business. I don't need to charge anywhere close to that, right? So I can help with the same thing, possibly even better perhaps, and I can charge less and still make a great living. So something to think about there. Use AI for this. Like I said, use that to figure out where these people are hanging out. Learn to put yourself in the shoes of that person. And this is why the last two steps are important, because it's one of the reasons why. If you are your ideal target, you're going to know about this stuff. You're going to know where they hang out. So here's an example. I know that even, my gosh, I was dealing with acne since I was 9 years old. It was crazy. Back 20 years ago then, when I was 10, I was already on certain internet forums reading very weird things. Okay, people had very weird ideas about what could help acne. I don't know if this still exists. I've not been in that space for a little bit. But and guys, I know this is going to sound funny. It's also embarrassing. I swear on my life, I've never personally done this, but this is real. This is the stuff that you consider when you're suffering with severe cystic acne. There were people teaching and telling you to make concoctions with your own urine and use that on your skin. How sad is that people are this desperate that they tried that? I mean, I've looked horrendous with acne, but even I didn't try that. But I know that. That's a unique thing that other people do not know, and many other health conditions wouldn't be able to relate to. So I know that they're hanging out there, getting weird messaging. All of that is valuable information that can help me in my social media content, my flyers, whatever I'm doing, because I know something about them that the other people do not know. Certainly the generalists don't know that. How would the general health practitioner ever be able to know the intimate details of all these other people? Okay, so I might know the Facebook groups that they hang out in. I don't know about any publications specifically. I know YouTube channels that they follow. Also, I know their personal experience. This is another big thing to think about, okay? What are some things that are unique to someone with acne or mental health issues that no one else would know? I'll give you a real one. This is something I've used in marketing before. Are you tired of hiding from family photos because you're so embarrassed? Are you tired of obsessively checking the mirror hundreds of times a day only to see the same thing and feel the shame and guilt and disgust with yourself build more and more? That's stuff that people with acne feel. Now, could someone that's overweight feel that? Yes. Could someone with psoriasis feel that? Sure. But not everyone feels that way. The majority of people do not feel that way. I was having these secret things where I'd try to get out of the family photo. I'd stay in the bathroom too long. I would check the mirror and beat the heck out of myself psychologically all day long, right? Those are things I can use in my marketing. We are not doing this to manipulate the person some evil way or trigger negative emotions in them for the sake of just triggering negative emotions. We are doing those things, though, to make them understand that you know something that other practitioners don't. You're the pink shirt in the sea of black shirts. and you're standing out right now because you're calling to their pain points that no one else has been able to call to. And now there's a whole second step to that, right? That's the selling side and the appropriate marketing angle. We'll talk about that in other videos, but at least now they're paying attention. You can have the best marketing and sales in the world. It doesn't matter at all if you can't even get their attention. This is the first part of marketing, if you will. So I'm not saying that this is unrelated to marketing, but if you can't get them to pay attention, I guess I should say, the rest of your marketing and sales does not matter. Okay? Got it? And step 4, final step here, is you want to just find your sweet spot. Okay? And we'll put it all together here. So, okay, I'm in the wellness space, natural wellness space. Got it. Maybe I'm working with professionals. For me, this would be acne solutions for young adult males looking to date. So these were young men like me at a time that, you know how young men are, right? All we want to do is date all the time. The only reason we have a job is to date. And so it's very hard to do that, though, when you have severe cystic acne. It's hard to do the job if you have to do anything in person, and it's hard to do the date. So calling out young males that are looking to do all this kind of stuff but have acne, that would be a good niche, right? There's no such thing as too specific with this. I don't believe that. I do not think that there's such thing as too specific. There's always someone that takes it to the extreme, right? Too specific in a literal sense would be, yes, if you're calling out 89-year-old senior citizens who only speak English, who didn't graduate from college or high school, who have dementia, diabetes, and are missing a toe all at the same time, that's too specific, yes. What is not too specific, though, is to say you're a male in your early 20s who is looking to date, you have a great career, you've had acne for years, you have tons of shame around this, you're college educated, you earn good money, all that stuff's fine. That would not be too specific. That's great. If you're making content or messaging for those types of people, that is awesome. Every little step there called out a specific type of person, okay? Now we want to test it, put this all together. So once you have this all set up and you have a statement, something like this, and the reason I didn't give you a formula for the statement, by the way, is because that gets people tripped up. You want something like this. Acne solutions for young adult males looking to date. Or the one that we talked about way back. I'm going to skip a little bit here if you don't mind. Here's another version of this, right? There's the questions and other things within this niche statement here, but it's hate when you see what you see in the mirror. If you're a woman in perimenopause struggling with stubborn weight gain and low energy, my 6-step blueprint will help you reclaim your body. Again, that's more than a niche statement, but you see what I'm saying there, okay? Go back over here. So once you have that, you ask, does it fit your strengths and story? Is there a real market need? Right, this is another place that you can use AI. Be like, do you think that this is a strong market to go to? I feel like AI is always a little too friendly. So when you ask that, be like, do you feel like this is a good market to go into? Please be objective with me. I will not take offense. Just say something like that seems to get better answers and more realistic answers. And is it sustainable long term? Unfortunately, most of these are sustainable long term. And the second that they aren't, most of us in the health space, that is, the second that they aren't is a blessing. If there is a time that my business goes out of business because there are no more autoimmune conditions, I will happily take that pay cut. I will praise God and take that pay cut. I do not think that day is coming next year. You know what I mean? I don't think it's coming next year that no one's going to have anxiety, depression, or severe cystic acne. I don't think that exists yet. Okay. So most of these are sustainable long-term. It'd be harder for me to think of an issue that's not, unless it was like literally a problem that can be solved in 3 days. That's going to be very tough because you need to get constant clients. That's going to be unsustainable. Most of these issues, as you guys know, are going to take months, sometimes even a year, to get the person to where they want to be. It doesn't mean that they're not winning early on or along the way, but it might take them that long to get to where they want to be, right? Which might be complete resolution or symptom reduction to the point that they don't even notice it anymore, don't even really think about it. Okay. I'm not saying I never get a breakout. If I travel, I might get a little something small. No one would look at me and say, oh, I have acne now. They would never think of me as abnormal or out of the norm, because my skin's so good, comparatively speaking. So you want to think about it. Is it sustainable long-term? Is there a real market need? And does it fit your strengths and story? And here is the best part. You can ask me for help. So once you think this through and you think that you've had a good one, drop a comment in this or on this YouTube video here in the comments below. Or if you'd like to get feedback from a lot more people, join our Facebook group, the Functional Practitioner Collective, and post it there, and we will get you helped out, okay? Just make sure you accept the group rules. We do not accept anyone that does not accept the group rules. Don't worry, it's not a cult or weird thing. It's like literally just don't go in there and promote your own stuff and try to sell to our members in private messages. It's very simple, but if you do not answer or accept the rules, then we will not accept you, unfortunately. But if you accept them, you'll get in right away. I always try to accept it quickly. I actually have a bot that's able to do it usually within an hour. And so you'll get in there, be able to post right away, and then you will be able to ask us what we think, and I will give you feedback completely for free. Isn't that great? Okay. So here is your job now. You're going to get your niche. You're going to use the stuff that we talked about here. You're going to submit it in the YouTube comments or the Facebook group. And you're going to remember your niche is where your skills, story, and market demand overlap. You figure that out and you got it, right? And then everything else that we do is going to be set on this foundation, okay? And if you just came off video 2, maybe you're binging some of these where we talked about pricing your packages. This is also how you're going to figure out some of your packages, especially like your dream tier one, the first tier thing that we talked about. That's like your pie in the sky type of thing. The ultimate experience cannot be thought about and created properly until you know exactly who you're serving. If you know exactly who you're serving, it is very easy to create the other packages and the pricing, okay? And please make sure you subscribe. I hate to be a cheesy YouTuber. I think that's a reasonable ask considering that we're doing this for free. You're probably going to want to see more of these videos, I'm assuming anyway. So I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. That is the only thing I ask for when we're doing stuff like this. If you want to throw a like to this, if you thought it was helpful, even better. And please, when you guys need feedback and help for this, drop it in the comments or go to the Facebook group or do both, and we will get back to you in a timely manner. Thanks so much, and stay tuned for the next video.